For my anthropology project, I've decided to cover animism, which is known as the first religion and is where most modern spiritual beliefs hail from. This topic will be split into three parts: what is it, its historical context, and how it influences religions today. First off, what is animism? Animism is defined as the attributing of a spiritual essence or life force to what would be considered inanimate objects, such as rocks, trees, or structures, animals and plants, and natural phenomena, all of whom can interact with humans and vice versa. It does not fit the true definition of religion. It is more so a style of engaging with the world and its inhabitants. Two main questions must be answered in animistic societies, those being what is animated and what does animation really mean. Animistic sensibility attributes sentience, or the quality of being animated, to a wide range of beings in the world, which includes the environment, other people, animals, plants, spirits, and forces of nature like the ocean, winds, sun, or moon. Some animistic persons or social groups also attribute sentience to things like stones, metals, and minerals, or items of technology such as cars, robots, or computers. Sentience is perceived as a life force that may be unseen but permeates everything in everyday life. Many cultures have different names for this force, with ancient Nordic societies calling it Ond or breath, Mana in Polynesian belief, and Orenda in the Iroquois belief. When it comes to animistic beliefs, there is a distinct difference between the transcendence and separation of monotheistic and polytheistic deities and an immanence of animistic belief, which will be discussed later. Beliefs are varied across the world, but there are two overarching themes in animism: the existence of various kinds of souls and spirits, and the attribution of personhood. Animism is found in simpler hunter-gatherer societies, who believe generally in less religious views and perform less religious rituals. Animism as a concept of anthropology was first introduced by Edward B. Taylor in 1873 in his book Religion in Primitive Cultures. Taylor was interested in the origins of religious view and how they developed over time. He hypothesized that people adopt an animistic view primarily when dealing with complicated things such as death or dreams. He specifically mentions the Zulu, who can be met by their ancestors during the night, who warn them of danger or take them to the spirit world. The existence of these things would lead people to develop the concept of a soul that lives after death, and therefore the existence of spirits. Attributing souls to people and then animals starts a slippery slope where the group comes to a consensus that a spirit is in all things. Eventually, the concept of animism and spirits would spawn shamanism in order to deal with malevolent spirits, or as a way to communicate with the spirit world. Taylor believed in a social evolutionary approach, where people progress from a primitive stage of social life in which they try to control the world around them with magical or religious practices towards a so-called modern life based on the philosophies, principles, and conclusions of science. This has, of course, been disproven. The existence of animism can be found throughout many world cultures in both technologically advanced and non-advanced countries. Some examples from around the world is Shintoism in Japan, which emphasizes the worship of ancestor spirits in order to receive help or wisdom. Muism, which is Korean shamanism, Anito and Bathala, which is found in the Philippines, and tribal regions found in Southeast Asia and African countries like Zambia, Laos, Myanmar, and Papua New Guinea. Many oral traditions as well in Russia and Sweden are also animistic. An important aspect of animism is that the animistic relationships need to be maintained. In many third world countries, new Christians are actively deciding to move away from their parents' spiritual beliefs and are eliminating the animistic roots. The Western world distinguishes between things that are alive and things that are inert, between the animate and the inanimate. Among those things that are alive, there is a consistent distinction between plants and animals, and between human consciousness and the rest of existence in the world. To the contrary, American Indian people understand that all life forms not only have consciousness, but also have qualities that are either poorly developed or entirely lacking in humans. Many neo-pagan religions have adopted animism into their beliefs, especially those of Wiccans and neo-shamanism, who interact with spirits through reconstructed historical rituals. Hellenist, heathenry, voodoo, and other Native American traditions, as well as surviving Native American traditions, fall into this category. Animism has left its mark both in our everyday culture and actions, as well as the major monotheistic religions that dominate the world today. There is bound to be some imprint into the beliefs and practices, given how animism is accepted to be the first religion and also the pervasiveness of its influence in religion. We will be looking at Christianity, Islam, and Buddhism. The aspects of Christianity that can be reasonably traced to animistic origins are the existence of one immortal, all-encompassing being, an immortal soul, standard religious accessories, such as sacred places, taboos, items, and rites, and care for the earth. There is some skepticism that can be leveled with these comparisons. The existence of one immortal being in animism, while touted as evidence by Christian apologists that monotheism has always existed, is different from the Christian understanding, since it is largely defined as an invisible force that animates all things, similar to the Force in Star Wars minus the special powers, rather than a deity that resides in another realm. This difference is known as the world accepting and the world denying view, respectively. Animism believes that the source of divinity exists in the world around us, and we must preserve it, while Christianity believes that the divine is in a perfect realm or dimension where we go to after we die. The only true animistic connection to Islam is in conservation, which is similar to Christianity. In the Quran, however, the idea of stewardship, or what is called khalifa, meaning successor, ruler, or heir, may or may not be different. There is indication that humans are set above the rest of nature like Christianity. However, some scholars indicate that humans are only superior when they accept the responsibility. The Quran makes it clear that humans and nature are equal. However, humans are also superior in some cases, with words such as "faldalna," meaning we made them to excel others; "karamna," we made them more gracious; "ja'ala lakum," we created them for you; and finally, "hamalna," we bring them for you, relating to humanity and their superiority over nature. Due to Buddhism also not being an official religion, there is no inherent animistic traits in Buddhism itself, with any links being local superstitions and practices that have been absorbed into Buddhist belief. Finally, we must discuss technological animism, which involves the relationship between humans and robots. The invention of things such as ASIMO, made by Honda in Japan to resemble children, is a modern example of attributing non-human code and circuitry to human qualities in order to better communicate and interact with them.